So let's start to look how we can create a gauge chart here with a gradient color here, having some text here like a credit score rating structure. So let's start to create a gradient gauge chart. First of all, we need the boiler template, which you can find on chartjs3.com, getting started, this specific link here. You can find this link as well in the description box. So once you're on here, copy this chunk of code here. And if you want to understand this code, watch this video here that explains it all. So I'm going to just paste that in there, or cut that out, and then just put that in here and start working on this chart. Save, refresh, there we are. So now what I need to do is I need to make this, of course, a donut chart. So I'm going to scroll down here, say donut, and we're going to remove the scales. Why? Because the gradient chart basically had only one scale, is the R for the radial scale, but we have to remove everything because there should be no lines. Alright, so we have this here, and the next thing what I want to do is I want to remove the colors except for two colors. We have the gray color, which is this one here, or like that. We should make that transparent a bit like that. The other one like this. Alright, so we have these here, and it should be then also, I think, identical color for now. Although later on I will fine tune this. So what I want to do now, I want to remove all these excess values because there should be only two values. Makes sense because we have basically the score, and then we have the remaining gray area. So we could call this here, or name this the score and gray area, I guess, but I'm going to remove those things as well. We don't need these legends, and the tooltips have no value anymore because we are using a intuitive color coding. So what I'm going to do here is plugins, say legend, and then we say here display false, comma, and then we have here sorry, not comma here, but comma here, and we're going to say here tooltip. And we're going to say here what's for the tooltip, it's enable. And let's make sure we spelled it correctly. False. Save. There we are. Now if I hover over it, it doesn't work. That's perfect. So now let's slice this donut chart in half. So what I want to do is, oh well, first you cut out percentage. Let's make it nice and narrow, 90%. Save. Refresh. There we are. And now slice it in half. Comma, and then we're going to say here, I guess, circumference. That controls the circle. That should be 180 degrees. If I save that, refresh, there we are. And then I need to have rotation, and the rotation will be 275 or 270. And the reason why is removing this 180 and then another quarter. That basically this point moves all the way like a 75-degree angle, or 75%, sorry, so that this moves this point so that we have like that. So if I save that, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, let's remove that excess comma. There we are. So what I do want is remove this excess white space. We don't need so much white space. So what I'm going to say here in the options, enter. We're going to say here not maintain aspect ratio, it's aspect ratio. Let's put it on 1.5. Why 1.5? I want some space here for the text that we're going to put in. Alright, so let's put in now, I guess we can just put in the text. Let's do that one first. That's so we can do the easiest color later on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a plugin for this. That's why you have this comma here that is connected to this one here. So we're going to here plugins bracket, and then we can just give this what would be nice is text or gauge chart text. That's what we're going to do here, and then I'm going to put that in here. So I'm going to call this our gauge chart text plugin block, because it's a block constant. This equals that, and then once I'm doing this, I'm going to say id equals that. Then we're going to say when would we like to draw this. We can draw this after we draw the data set. So we say after data sets draw, we're going to draw these, and we're going to say chart arcs and plugin options. So once we did this, we're going to do an object destructuring. If you don't understand object destructuring, I'm going to recommend you to watch my video in the description box, understanding Chart.js, object destructuring. So this is very important. I will not explain this much, but it's all in the description box. So we have this chart. Oh, this should be const, of course. And then I'm going to say here CTX. We have the CTX. Probably we need the data. We need the chart area. If you don't understand chart area, again, there's another video for that, understanding chart area in Chart.js. Very important to know. Both of these things, concepts here, what I'm doing, are really important. Let's say top, bottom, left, right, width, and height. Alright, finally here, I guess we can get the scales, and then more specifically, I want the R scale. So then I'm going to say here ctx.save to save all variables above. So we have a default starting point, and then it can start to work on it. Alright, so what we need to know is basically two things. I want to have text here, I want to have text there, I want to have text in the center, and one here up. The text in the center, that's basically, well, basically it's this. If this would be 650, and the total score should be 800, so that's plus. So this formula, I want to work on the formula, but this is just a basic calculation. I don't need to explain that, and I think anyone with decent JavaScript skills should know this. So what I'm going to do is, I do want to have here 300 as starting point, and here 800 or 850 as ending point. So let's work on that first. So how do we get then the center here and push that a little bit down here and there? Alright, to show you this, that's why we have the R scale here. Let's do a console log R. Save. Refresh. Open up developer tab, and you can see here, alright, interesting, it doesn't recognize it. So let's see, of course, it is not in the R, my bad. So it is somewhere else. So what I need is, I need the center. So I'm going to say a chart, and this is a built-in Chart.js functionality. Chart get data set meta index 0. We only have one index here because we only have one data set. So that's the data set. And then if I save this, refresh, there we are, we get a lot of information. But what I need is basically the data. And we get here the X and Y coordinates. These coordinates, and here you can see they're identical. What are they meaning? They mean the exact center of the arc. This is very important. It says a calculation of the center of the arc. And that information is for us crucial. So we're going to say dot data index 0 dot x, and here it doesn't matter if we do index 0 or 1, because they are identical as they indicated. They are exactly the same. However, just do it for like that. So we have the x and y same. So what I will do here is just constant, and I'm going to say here the x coordinate will be this, and then we have another one, constant y coordinates will be that. Just going to grab this and put in here the y value. Alright, so now we can test this, and what I want to do is just draw a simple line from here all the way to the end or somewhere, so we can see if it is truly in the center. So I'm going to say here ctx fill rectangle. I'm going to create a rectangle, and which consists of basically an x and y and then a width and height. Well, for me now, the x starting point is this x core, the y starting point is the y core, which would basically mean in the center here, and then we're just going to make a long line to the end here. And so the width will be, let's say 400, and I'm guessing probably over from this point to there is probably far shorter. This should be maybe 200, but that's fine. This will not damage our chart in any way. And here the height, let's say give it a 5 pixel for a thick line. So if I refresh here, you can see here it hits nicely, and let's make this only 1 pixel. You can see exactly attach or touches this at the very end. So this means this is all up and running or working very well. So what I want to do is, we have the center here, but now I want to have the left side and the right side as well. Because let's keep this for now, and later on I'm going to remove that. But now let's draw the text. So I'm going to say here, quite simple. I'm going to say a ctx.font equals. I'm going to give it here, let's make this very simple. Let's say here for now 15 pixels in font size. Oh, and this is a string value. And then we're going to say here the font family will be sans serif, which is the official Chartjs font family. So that's number one. And then we're going to say ctx.fill style for the color, and the color will be gray, which is the default color, or if you want the official Chartjs color, let's do that one, that should be more better. Hashtag 666, that should be it. Save. Finally, I want to say ctx.fill fill text to draw the text, and here we have whatever the text would be, comma, the x and the y coordinates of our text. So in this case, we know that the starting point here starts at 300 and the ending point is 850. So let's do the 300 first. So we know here this is a fixed value that will never change. So let's do that one. Then what I want to do here is, what is this point here? Luckily we have the chart area, the left. We'll highlight the left side here. So I can just grab this left, put that in there. So the y value is basically this center or the top and bottom value. So what we can do here is quite simple. We can just grab this y core and put that in here. Save that, refresh, there you are. As you can see here, I'm not 100% satisfied. We're still a bit high, but we can push it down. So that's not a problem. So we can start working on that. So what I want to do here is, well, maybe we can do it. There are a few options. Let's do a ctx dot text baseline and see if we can maybe change our baseline to top. If that doesn't work, we need to reposition it to the bottom. Alright, top is like that. What if I do bottom? Alright, this doesn't work, so I need to push it down completely. So what I'm going to say here, I even guess normally it should be top, but it just doesn't have any space. Let's do here plus 20 pixels. That should be fine. If I save this, refresh, there we are. And maybe this could be 300 pixels, or this should be 20 pixels in size as well. So that'll be fair. Alright, so that looks quite decent. I like the design of it. The next thing what we can do is to build the other item. So to do the other item, all we have to do is just can copy this, put that in here, but just adjust the text here. 850, and this should be probably at the right side. If I save this, refresh. Alright, interesting. So we have it here, but I think it's probably minus 20 just out of the screen. Alright, the reason why it's out of the screen is because the alignment of text is left. So what I need to do here, ctx text align equals left, but then what I want to do is I want to have also a text align equals right. However, that must be done after this one. So we're going to say here right, and then we can remove this deduction, save, refresh, and now you can see here it will go to the right side and then pushes it to the left. So it will basically be in the visible area. Alright, that looks absolutely phenomenal. And I think here the next item is putting in the value here at the very top, which would be, if this is, if I'm not mistaken, 650 or something like that, we should see here a large 650. So to do that, what I want to do here is ctx dot, and then what we can do here, maybe text align, we can just grab that. But we will put it in the center. So we say text align center, and then we're going to grab this one, and we say here 650, and then we're going to put this here. The right side, no, we don't want to have it on the right side. I guess it should be here. We don't want it to go down because it should be just above here, above this line. And this should be center, if I'm not mistaken. Or what is the center? Well, if I'm not mistaken, it is the x coordinate. So if I save this, refresh, there we are. So let's change the font size of that. Copy this, put here the font size, and let's say this font size should be huge, 150 pixels. Save, refresh, there we are. Alright, so that looks quite nice. That's a quite decent big size. Push it up, not really necessary, I think. Well, who knows? Well, I will just leave it for now. Text align this, that's fine here. Or maybe you can say here text baseline and put it on bottom. So then it might push it up, or not really even, or that's fine. I guess I'll just accept this as how it is. So that looks quite nice. What we want to do next is put one item at the very top. However, this is hard coded. I want this soft coded. So what I want to do is I want to grab this data here. How do we do this? Remember, we have this object here. We have the object destructuring of data, which is basically this. So data dot data sets index 0, data index 0. So what I'm going to say here, let's put it after here, constant. And we're going to say here this would be the score. I think that's a nice term. I'm going to say data.data sets index 0 dot data index 0. There we are. This here gives us the nice score of index 0 of this data here, 650. Let's put that in here so we have a soft coded value. Alright, so this works. If I change this to 750 and I want to make sure that this then will be 100, say absolutely phenomenal, and there we are. Alright, so this works. We have this now. The final item is to have it a score like fair, good, very good, and negative or bad, something like that. So what I want to do here, and that should be of course positioned a little bit up above this one here. So what I'm going to do here is, well, I guess we need to have another CTX font, and you can see here we have so many of these, and later on I'll make a function so we can keep it concise. So we can just, I'll just copy all of these here. And finally for this, and I'll just say here for now I'm going to say fair, and later on we're going to use a code to calculate what the score would be, or the status, something like that. So what we want to do here is x and y, and I guess we can do here minus, and the reason why minus is I want to push it up, so then it's minus. If I push it down I need to plus it, so minus, how many pixels is this? I guess this is 150 pixels, so we should do at least minus 150 pixels. Maybe we can reduce it even. Alright, so we get this, but this is a bit too much. I want to have this maybe 30 pixels only. Save, refresh. Alright, this is fair, I guess, but it's a very practical word, but let's reduce it a little bit so it's a bit more closer, and that's much better. Alright, so we have this now. This line could basically be removed. I want to soft code this one, and then we're going to create a function because we have this code is far too redundant. So what we're going to do here is, first of all, we're going to say here constant rating, and the rating is a if statement, or what I can say here, maybe the rating is a let value, but this let value has no value yet assigned. So what I'm going to do here then is an if statement, say if the score, which is whatever the number is, if the number is smaller than, let's say 600, in that case what I want to do then is say the rating would be equal to, or the rating will be then we assign the rating as bad. Alright, just maybe we can just condense that a little bit by putting it like this in here. I'm sure that there's a nicer way to do this, the if statement, but for now I'll just leave it as it is. So then we have another one, say if it is equal or larger than 600, and if the score is equal or larger than 600, and the score would be, and I see here I make the mistake, sorry, it should be larger or equal to 600, or score is smaller or equal to 700, we're going to give this a rating of fair. And then finally here, well, we can do another one as well. We can say here if the score is larger than 700, we will say good, and maybe we can do another one. I guess these are just credit rating scores, if I'm not mistaken. We say if it is larger than 800, very good. Alright, so then we can copy this rating and put the rating in here, save, refresh, and now we get good. Alright, let's make it 800, or so it should be larger than 800, so 801, save, very good. If I'm 800 flat, it's good. That could be maybe also equal to, I guess that's fair. 800 is very good, by the way. So anyway, so we have this here, and I think we're getting very close to it. Let's condense this, refactor this one for now. So I'm going to create a function here, and this function will basically be the text in here. So what we can say here, maybe text label, and I want to put in all of these 1, 2, 3, 4 items we're going to make a function of. So in this function, basically we're just going to grab all of this, put it in here, but then we're going to soft code certain values afterwards. And to activate this label, this function, we just put in the text here. But then we can just start with the simple one. So we can say here, this will be a text eventually. So what we have here, let's look at it. Font size is very important. The baseline is very important. Text align is important. And we have here the text, the X and Y coordinates. Alright, so let's do the text, comma, X, comma, Y, comma, font size, comma, what we have more, baseline, comma, text align, I guess. Maybe you should say here, text baseline. So it's very concise or clear what this resembles. Alright, so now we have these. What I want to do then, basically all of those should be, let's copy this, put it in here, and just work for this. You see here, this 20 will be the font size, should be 20 here. But because this is a number and this is a string number, I need to do some tricks here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove this, remove that one, and I'm going to select all of this and use backticks instead. Backticks is on your keyboard below the escape button. So backticks allows us to do concatenation in ES6 method. So now I need to put a variable in here, and all I want to do is cover this variable with font size, because we know that's the variable. So we have here this 20. This here, the 300, is a string value, and then this here will be the text. There we are. So now we have that one. This X is related to this here, so we can say here X, but this will be left. Then we have here the Y core plus 20. I'm going to say here Y, and this Y will be that. Alright, so now we have 1, 2, 3. 4 items, 2 more to go, which is the text baseline. The text baseline in this case is top. So put that in there, and let's copy this text baseline, put it in there. And finally we have the left. Cut out this, text align, put that one, and copy that, put it in here. So if I do this now, and this is exactly identical, if I hide this, save, we should see here a working model. If I hide this, you should now see it's not showing. Alright, you see this here, don't worry about that, we're going to work on this. Alright, so now we have this one, this works. What I want to do is, semicolon here, duplicate this chunk of code, delete this one, and then just do for the right side, if I'm not saying that's the 850 here, we're going to say here 850, and then we're going to say here right, and I believe everything else, this is the right for the X coordinates, but also the right for the text align, and text align is this one here, so that's this here. Say right, save that, remove this, or comment out this for now, save, refresh. Alright, so there we are, we have now 2 items. Let's get the 800, so we can delete this, get another one, copy this, and as you can see here, it becomes quite easy and straightforward now. This here was the score value, we're just going to put that score in here. X and Y, let's copy these two, that's the X and Y. Font size is 150 pixels. And then we have here the text align was center, text align is the last one here, center, and this one here, bottom. Alright, remove that, or comment out, save, and test. There you are. Final item, the very good, which is basically almost identical here, except font size 30 pixels, text align this bottom. Alright, so those two are already done. Here, X and Y coordinates minus 120, that's this here, and then the text here is rating. So let's comment this out, save, refresh. Absolutely wonderful. Now we have this all done. And I guess we're done here. We can just delete this, and you can see from more than 20 lines, we concise it into 4 lines here plus 1 function. Wonderful. So that's how we do the refactoring here. It's easy to follow. This here, that was the straight line here. We don't need this anymore. Save, refresh. So now we have this. Now we do the background color. The background color was a real tricky one for me. I couldn't get certain values, but I'm going to show you the basics of it. What we're going to do here is, first of all, I want to have the color here, which is gradient, on this specific item and as well on the border color. So the gradient color will be from red to yellow to green. The higher the score, the better. So that's very important for us. So let's start to work on this. So how do we do this? Well, I'm going to use a very simple way, but I struggle to get the width of this. So I'm going to use a trick, but I am 100% certain there's an easier way, but I couldn't find it and I didn't want to spend too much time on getting a element width because that should be quite easy, but I'm sure that there's ways to do it. Anyway, I couldn't find it, so I have another way to do it. What I'm doing here is I'm going to get the width not of the canvas, because if I get the canvas width, it will only show, let me show you, 300 pixels or something like that. Or it gets here 700 for some reason. Alright, that's fine, but sometimes it was for me 300. So I was really struggling on that one. Anyway, because I was struggling with that, I went for another way to do it. I'm going to say within this canvas, I have also this chart box here that gives us the width of 700, or at least the width that we need. So I want to extract just this width itself because the canvas is confined within that specific div. So what I'm going to do here, and apparently I have to use a trick for that. I'm going to say document dot. Oh wait, I'll do this later on before I even get ahead of myself, because you will understand then why I need this. So what I first need to do is I want to change the radiant color, or the gradient color. So to do that, I need to change this here. So what I'm going to do here, constant, and I'm going to say here gradient segment. So what I want to do is only this segment or this arc to be gradient. But to do this, I need a CTX, and I realized that I need to still grab the CTX. Let me grab the CTX first. Constant document dot get element by ID, and what I'm doing here is I'm getting the chart element. I'm not allowed to grab it from here for some reason. Maybe if I could do a hoisting. Let me just test this. If that will be fine, then I think we could even do that. Let's see if this works. Oh no, sorry, that will not work. Sorry, my bad. What I want to do is just get the element here. Yes, but I'm not able to grab that from above because it loads down, and for some reason, I'm sure there's some tricks for it. Couldn't figure it out. So anyway, so just going to grab this. I'll just say here. Constant, let's say here, this would be the CTX. And we say here dot CTX, and then we're going to say here, get context 2D, which is basically the CTX or the canvas, to draw on the canvas. Then we have this here, which is basically this reference here, and then we can say here what we need here is create linear gradient effect. So what I want to do here is to create a gradient effect. Then I must define now the starting point. Basically this is the x, would be the x, the width over the height, the y coordinates, and then we have here basically the width and the height. So what I need to do is basically I need to get the width of the entire chart, because the gradient will be from here red, then if I go more there, it should be orange or yellow, and then gradually converting it into green, and somewhere here should become green. So this effect here is very important, but basically we're working not with the y and the h, because we only have to go from left to right. That's the only thing we want to change. If you use the y and the h, you get these diagonal effects. I don't want them, so those are set on 0. But our starting point on x is 0 because we start at this point here, or basically the left side of the chart. Then we have here this, and we know the chart right now is 700 pixels, as you can see here, the width. So I'm going to hard code 700 pixels, and later on with this I'm going to soft code it 700 pixels width. So then what I want to do here is get the specific items. So we're going to start to make the gradients. We're going to get gradient segment, and this gradient segment say dot add color stop with capital C and capital S. So in here we say the starting point is 0.0, basically the percentage. Here's this percentage, and then here would be the color of that area. So we're going to say red for this. So we say 0, and that's red. So then I can get another one, and what I want to do then is halfway through, or even more, let's say 0.7, so 70% onwards, it should become yellow. And then final one would be 1 for 100%, and that's fully green. So once I do this and I copy this and put it in here because that's the color, oh sorry, not on this one, no, put it in here because that's the color I want to change, and also here the border color. Save that, oh, remove this comma here, save, refresh, we get this nice gradient effect here. Absolutely phenomenal. So now of course this is not so good because we need to measure the size of the chart, and as I indicated there was a real struggle. So that's why instead of measuring the size of the chart, which was quite hard, we know that Chart.js, the canvas, will be relative to whatever div container it is in. So if we get this chart box class, we extract the class and get the width of that, we will get as well 700, or as you can see here, if you look very carefully, it would be 746 to be exact. Alright, so I will accept that margin of error. We will probably with some padding, I can probably reduce that. Anyway, doesn't matter so much. Let's start to work. Oh, I guess it's the padding and the border. The border is 3 pixels and the padding is as well like that. So that's the reason why. So what we're going to do here is this part here, and then we're going to say here document.query selector, and it's going to get the class of that specific item, the string dot for the class, and then what is the class name? Remember the class name is chart box, so we want to make sure that that is a bit more dynamic. Then we say here dot get bounding client rectangle or rec, because then we get the exact coordinates. Don't get the style dot width, that will not always give you the desired effect. That's why. So then we say here this rectangle, and then what I want to do is I want to get, well, let me just show you. I do console log and get the chart width, save, refresh, console, look at this, we get here left, we get here the width, basically that's the one we need just the width of this. So I'm going to grab this width, dot width. So if I save that, you should see now. Alright, so then just for the simplicity, because it is padding left and right, 20 pixel plus 20 pixel makes 40. Oh, sorry. So it's 20 pixel plus 20 pixels, and then of course 6 pixels in border, 3 pixels left side, 3 pixels right side. So I'm just going to hard code those. You can grab them probably very easily in JavaScript. I will not spend too much time on that. However, when we have this, we can just copy this and convert this one here. If I save this, refresh, then if I change this, we should have adjustments, or let me just say this will be 80%, save. Alright, and if I change, I guess we need to reload it every time as we do this. But anyway, I guess we can do it as a resize, that would be fine. But I assume this should be quite doable here, and then we have this huge thing, and this could be even bigger as well. Anyway, this is basically how we can create our own item here, and I think 80% is quite big here. I'll just put that back to 700 pixels, so it's quite fixed, looks quite nice. That's it. So if you enjoyed this video, and I think that will be quite interesting as well, because you have this very good item here. If you would click on this, maybe opening up a model with information about what this truly means, in that case, if you want to learn something like that, I'm going to recommend you this video here, where you will see and learn how to connect a model when clicking on a segment of a pie or donut chart in Chart.js.